Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it out. Let's actually get started because I think we have about 70 different interesting, weird, kooky trends to get through in the next hour. As we said, Jack can't make it today, so it's just the two of us. You're going to have me, Mike Castillo. I'm the trendologist at Datassential. You've seen me on here before, and we have Renee back. Renee, you just met Renee's newest addition to the family, Luke. And Renee and I, we both work on the trend spotting team at Datassential. And these are some of our favorite sessions. You know, I know a lot of times we cover a lot of really serious stuff, things that need to be covered, absolutely. But every quarter we like to do one of these sessions where we just go through some of the fun, weird, kooky, interesting stuff that we see in the industry happening. We'd love to hear, you know, we're going to cover some really kind of out there foods. We'd love to hear in the chat box, you know, if people will try some of these things. And do you want to tip them off to what they should be looking for over the course of the webinar?
So this is funny. The last time I was on a webinar was right before my son came early, but it was the April Fool's webinar. So we had planted a fake trend slide on there. And it's funny, Jack saw my chat from, 4 or 5 months ago and was like, and I had suggested we do another fake out. And so of course he's like, oh, great suggestion. Let's do another one. So in this presentation today, there is a fake trend in here. So see if you guys can spot it and we'll let you know at the end which one it is.
Yeah.
So a September April Fool's Day. And
this is our usual, disclaimer right off the bat. In the chat box, you have to change it manually to all panelists and attendees. If it's on all panelists, you are just talking to Renee and myself, which we love, but nobody else can see it. So just right now, switch it over to all panelists and attendees, and everybody who's listening in today can join the chat together, which I think has been one of the funnest things about these webinars is just that the community that has come together. We love to read the chat box comments after the fact. It's so fun seeing what people say. Should we get right into it? Let's actually. So I know I said we're going to cover some fun stuff, but I do think, right off the bat, we need to cover some of the more hard-hitting news things that we've been seeing. And the number one is probably just the shortages in the industry, whether it's shortages on the shelves, shortages of workers to hire. And so I had actually seen this in Food Management Magazine, but Vanderbilt University, so, college students are back to campus. I actually live close to Loyola University in Chicago. All the students just moved back in the past 2 weeks. But across the country, we're seeing a number of colleges that are dealing with shortages, whether it's staffing shortages or the actual shelves in, dining rooms and cafeterias. And so Vanderbilt University, because students were complaining about the number of shortages, they were actually giving students a $50 meal credit from August 24th through 29th. And then they give them an additional $15 credit that doesn't expire at all, just to kind of make up for it. So you see how it's really impacting even all these on-site segments out there. And on that note too, I thought it was interesting. We were talking to a CNU university operator, and they were mentioning that really it's two groups of students who are coming to campus for the first time, freshmen and sophomores at a lot of campuses. So it's introducing basically half the student population to your dining services and your offerings for the first time. And speaking of shortages, I don't know, I feel, like in the chat box below, let us know if you've seen this in your own social media feeds. I feel like in the past couple of weeks, I've seen 3 to 4 of these messages posted on Facebook, where it's basically, operators out there who are fed up with, customers coming in and throwing tantrums and, treating the staff really poorly. This is actually an operator in Benton Harbor, Michigan, which isn't too far from where my parents are. And you can see the message here. It's basically, stop treating our staff poorly. If you're going to, we don't want you to come in. You can see that last paragraph there. They say food prices have surged, deliveries are unreliable, mandates are constantly changing. It's nearly impossible to hire staff. The list just goes on and on for them. And so I just think, we're kind of hitting this breaking point for a lot of operators where they've had to pivot so much in the past year and a half, and now they have all of these consumers coming in that are also treating staff poorly, unfortunately. And this is another one. Yeah, this is Newick's Lobster House in Dover, New Hampshire. So they posted this on the front door. Again, a really similar statement. All right, he said, they are short-staffed. They are dealing with, a number of shortages back of house. And so he understands when people, complain that maybe something came out incorrectly. But he said, they get people coming in and, their staff is crying because of the tantrums that adults are throwing. They said that there was one person that came in and thought their scallops were too small and started throwing the scallops at the serving staff. And so actually the first day that he posted this message on the front door, he had to kick 2 people out, he said, because they were treating the staff poorly. So I don't know. I mean, we have a number of operators on the call. I think we'd be really interested to hear how everybody out here is dealing with this, and just making sure that their servers and staff, don't have to deal with this in any capacity. And then also in the new, we were just talking about this, all the fires across the country, wildfires out west. I was going to go to Lake Tahoe, but we can't. And so, one of the things that we've always said is, one of the ways that consumers are really impacted by some of these, environmental impacts are through food. And it's the way that it's really going to hit them, at home often in the future. And so there's actually a study done by the University of Idaho where they looked over the course of 5 years to see how the wildfires were impacting dairy cows across the country. And over the course of those 5 years, they found out that not only did cows produce less milk, so they produced 3 pounds less milk per day, but the cows were actually far more susceptible to disease as well. So it can impact, anything related to dairy. It can impact cheese, just the entire industry. And we continue to see this more and more. I know a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how the wildfires were impacting the wine industry. And then also somewhat related to sustainability and an environmental impact is we've talked a number of times about some of these startups that are aiming to use reusable packaging. If you order from Amazon or if you order from an e-commerce site, you probably have, felt this thing of having 8 million cardboard boxes in your house that you have to get rid of. So this is a startup called Olive. They work with over 100 different e-commerce retailers. And basically the idea is that these retailers send all of the goods that you order to a central warehouse in large packages, so you don't need individual cardboard boxes, and then they put them into one of these reusable crates here, and they drop it off at your house once a week. So you basically do all your shopping throughout the week, and then once a week on your day, you get it all delivered to you, and then you send this back, and you don't have any cardboard boxes at all.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And if you remember from our mid-year trends report, we asked consumers 10 different metrics, what did they think their attitudes and opinions would be post-COVID? And one of the things we asked them was, will you be more concerned about disposable packaging in the future post-COVID? And 66% of consumers said that they will be even more concerned about disposable packaging in the future. So it is definitely a concern, and I think only a growing concern for a number of consumers out there. And that is in our mid-year trend report. We just released it a few weeks ago. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal report. It touches on research that pretty much everybody at Datassential has done, from the latest menu trends, from our new menu trends release, to different trends that employees here are tracking, to just fall and winter themes that we're seeing. It's all in Report Pro right now. If you paid attention the past couple of weeks, Jack has really talked about the launch of our Report Pro Smart Library. It's literally every single report that we offer is in the Smart Library. We upload, what is it at this point, 5 to 10 new reports every single week. There's a number of new trend spotting reports. I know you just worked on a new trend watch that's in there on various nuts and seeds. There's a new international concepts on global breakfast concepts. So really great offerings in Report Pro. If you are interested in getting access to this Smart Library, just drop a comment in the chat box below and we will get you in touch with somebody. I'm Patrick Carroll, our favorite virus.
Yeah, speaking of viruses. So this is Patrick Carroll, but actually there's a lot of Patrick Carroll still. This virus that is plaguing our comment section. I think if you go to the next slide, it'll show so the infection rate. So at first it was 61% of our attendees were actually Patrick Carroll. So last webinar, we had everybody type their names in to the chat box. And actually, if everyone could take a second right now, type your full name into the comments box. so that we can try and get this down. So now we are down to 28%. Oh, good. I'm seeing everyone type their names. Great. We are going to get to the bottom of this. We are down to 28%, but that's still quite a few Patrick Carols. And so hopefully we are going to do some work on our end to make sure that we get down to hopefully 0%, or if there actually is one Patrick Carol, I think 1%,
Yes,
one Patrick Carol is fine, but that's about our limit. So
exactly,
everyone just take a second. Thank you for everyone who's doing it right now. Type in your name on the chat box there, and we're going to get this under control.
Yeah, we literally have our team going in and switching everybody over to your correct name, so we can ensure that all of your chats are being attributed to the right person. And I know we've had people after these webinars reach out to each other, and so it really facilitates that. So yeah, let's get it down to that one person, the actual Patrick Carroll.
Yes.
So like we said, type your full name into the chat right now. And you can also find out if you are Patrick Carroll. I know it's difficult because it says that you are chatting. It doesn't actually say Patrick Carroll is chatting. So other people in the chat can also help you figure out if you are Patrick Carroll.
Yes.
All right, so let's jump right into, we covered some of the serious stuff. Let's cover some of the more kooky, unusual, interesting stuff that came across our radar over the past couple of weeks.
Awesome. So yeah, we're going to start by looking at some new menu items. And reminder, not a reminder, if you guys joined in a little bit late, there is a fake trend somewhere in this deck. So at the end, we will see if you guys want to do a September April Fool's Day and see which one is the fake trend. But so starting off, this is Sonic. So a lot of places are doing a lot of beverage innovation where they're making non-alcoholic items alcoholic. So like White Claw has iced tea now that's alcoholic, you know, all these alcoholic seltzers. Sonic is actually going in the opposite direction. So these are their uncorked slushies. So they're slushies that are based on wine flavors. Of course, no alcohol in them. But so you've got like the red berry sangria and you've got peach Bellini there.
That's such an interesting idea too, with the focus on pickup and takeout now, having these non-alcoholic versions, but they still have those flavor profiles that consumers like. I feel like we're going to see more and more of this in the future.
Yeah, those look really good. And then, so, you know, we're talking about, so we will go into a lot of pumpkin spice items in just a few slides here, but now I think we touched on this before that a lot of places are now going in on apple. So this is Starbucks' apple crisp macchiato that looks delicious. And actually you had it, right, Mike?
I did. I got it this week. It is delicious. I don't get a kickback for saying that. It's not too sweet. It's very appley. They did a really good job on it.
Yeah, and I think it was Pilot Flying J also released an apple pie cold brew. And then I think the next slide shows Dunkin' came out with, I love this saying, apple to the core. So they brought back their apple cider donut, and then they also have apple cranberry refreshers now too.
And the thing that we continue to see, we mentioned this 2 weeks ago on the webinar, is that these fruit flavors work so well in cold beverages. And as we see all these fall items being released earlier and earlier this year, when I bought that apple crisp macchiato, it was 93 degrees in Chicago. Those flavors work a lot better in these cold beverages. So it makes sense that we're seeing these apples and these cranberries.
But it's great because they work in hot beverages as well. So and then you guys, a lot of people probably saw this. This was everywhere. So Chevrolet and Guy Fieri had created this apple pie hot dog. So it actually sounds, it doesn't look or sound too great at first, but then I could kind of see it working. So it actually has a hot dog, apple pie filling, bacon jam inside. The pie crust, and then it's topped with apple mustard drizzle and apple pie spice. So it actually does seem like it could be a really nice sweet and savory flavor. And I saw some people on like one of those Good Morning shows eating it, and they actually seem to enjoy it. So yeah, let us know in the chat if you would try this. Would you try this, Mike?
Oh, I mean, I'll try anything. I mean, this doesn't seem that bad to me. I mean, I know people already eat like, you know, cheese on apple pie because they love that.
That's true.
I mean, we tried, you know, mustard on watermelon on the webinar a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so
yeah. In comparison, this isn't that crazy.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of mustard innovation that we're going to cover.
Yeah.
And this, oh, this looks delicious. So you guys are probably familiar. I love cinnamon crunch bagels from Panera. And actually a lot of people love them too. They sell 5,000 of those. That's the most popular bagel flavor. They sell 5,000 of those bagels every hour. So they actually turned it into a latte. So this is their cinnamon crunch bagel latte, which is, again, beverage innovation. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense and goes along with those fall flavors too.
And it's one of those things when you hear it too, it just makes you think, how did they not do this before? Taking something that already does so well on their menu and offering it in another capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're going to go into some retail products, and this is really where a lot of that pumpkin spice comes into play, as long and with the apple cider donuts. So I wonder how many flavors, limited edition flavors of Oreos do you think there are now, Mike?
I swear I just saw this a couple weeks ago, but to me, it has to be, if it's not 100, it's at least close to
it's so many, I'm sure. And I feel like I should try more of them. But so these are the Oreo apple cider donuts. So that looks really,
which is a great idea. I need apple cider.
I love seeing the comments roll through to see who thinks what's a fake trend. This is I love this packaging. It's super cute. This is the fall flannel limited edition seltzers from Bud Light. So they got into seltzers. I haven't tried them yet, and they have these new fall flavors too. So I don't know. I think I would try. I love White Claws and seltzers, so I would maybe try this, but we'll see. Toasted marshmallow. Last year they also came up with a ugly sweater pack too. So they had like peppermint patty, beers, and seltzers.
And if you remember from our webinar a few weeks ago, where we looked at some of the menu trends that we had seen grow in the past year, White Claw was actually the top growing trend again. So it reclaimed its top spot, and we still continue to see hard seltzer growing. Part of it was just because of the real need and desire for delivery friendly drinks in the past year.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then this is pumpkin spice flavored ramen noodles. So really, I mean, my favorite products are the ones that are like pumpkin spice, like motor oil and stuff. That's just like, or, or pumpkin spice, like pet treats. There is just so much stuff. So here's that, the limited edition there. Here's just a variety of other, pumpkin spice items, pumpkin spice baking soda, pumpkin spice salmon, pumpkin, I think that one they say pumpkin pie flavored bacon or spiced bacon, which I mean makes sense. Like if you think there's always been like maple bacon, so I guess it's not too huge of a jump. The pumpkin spice spam I think was from last year, and then we've got a pumpkin ale sauce at B-Dubs too.
And the thing I feel like we always get asked is, if pumpkin has peaked, if we see pumpkin falling on menu. I mean, really at this point, pumpkin is just a default fall flavor on menus. So we see it come up every year. We see consumers get really excited for it. It's more that, now that it's a default option, we're seeing all these next level flavors. So whether that's combining pumpkin with flavors like chai and marshmallow, or a next level, options like apple and maple, and we continue to see growing on menus.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Nashville Hot is one. We should have pulled the menu trends data on this. But we have Cheetos came out with Nashville Hot now. And these are only available in 2 different stores. I think it was Circle K and Dollar General. But they're hoping to maybe expand this as well, which I could totally see. I mean, all the spicy flavors already.
It makes it. I mean, they already, you think of Cheetos Flamin' Hot, so it's an area that they play well in. And I do remember, I mean, Nashville Hot at this point, it's about to become a default spicy flavor on menus, like jalapeno. I mean, we just see Nashville Hot has really expanded into so many operators and categories.
And then speaking of the Flamin' Hot Cheetos everywhere, so Flamin' Hot Cheetos ice cream, that was at Marble Slab. I think they only had that for a day or two. That was their sweet cream ice cream with Flamin' Hot Cheetos. And then Mountain Dew also came out with Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew. So just so much innovation, and the Flamin' Hot Cheetos were just everywhere, I feel. everywhere. And then Mountain Dew too came out with hard Mountain Dew. So I always see black cherry. That's a very popular seltzer flavor, I feel, in
And
beverage flavor.
the packaging looked great for these. They
It does
really
look
did a
really
great job
nice.
with the illustrations.
Mm-hmm. And then you guys have probably seen Dr. Bronner's, if you're familiar with their natural soaps. So now they actually came out with all one chocolate magic chocolate bars. So this seemed like a weird jump at first to me, from soap to chocolate. But then I guess with all that like Tide Pod stuff and people hating that soap, I guess it's not like too far of a stretch. And actually, this makes a lot of sense when I read into it. They found out that a lot of their farmers in Ghana who supplied the oil to make their soaps also grew cocoa. So they figured, why not expand that? And so far, it doesn't seem like they've had any crossover between like their citrus or their peppermint or eucalyptus soaps into their chocolate, but I could actually kind of see that.
Yeah. This is, when you first see it, it sounds strange, but then when you hear the idea behind it, it is a good idea. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they do have a cult following. So I feel like, people will follow them into other categories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those look great too. This is Twix Shaker's seasonings blend. So this is from the maker of like Mrs. Dash's seasoning blends. And so it makes sense. You can shake this onto like ice cream, pancakes, make anything taste like Twix. They actually had this recipe for Twix barbecue sauce on chicken wings. So you can see it dusted on top of those chicken wings. And I don't know. I guess would you guys try this? Chocolate? I don't know.
We still see the number of savory sweet options. Mm-hmm. We see. We were just talking about all of those meats that featured pumpkin spice as a flavor. Right. It just feels like we continue to see more and more of this on menus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Natty Light.
Natty Light.
I don't know about fun memories, but it brings back memories.
Memories of some kind. So yeah, Natural Light, they've had a lot of innovation lately. They did a lemonade flavored like a kind of a shandy that they called Natter Days, and this is again, lemonade is coming up a lot. This is lemonade flavored Natural Light vodka.
It is funny if you start to look at the college students who are back on campus and what they're posting when they're going out to parties. I feel like a lot of the beers have been replaced by hard seltzers, hard teas, hard lemonades. I feel like, that's really what the CNU crowd gravitates towards these days. So it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm seeing on this chat, there's only one fake trend. So I know it seems like there could be like 10 billion in here. Everybody's thinking, I don't know, there's a couple red herrings, I'm sure. But this is French's mustard bun. So instead of, I guess, you're still putting the mustard on top of the hot dog as well. But it's just got extra mustard flavor because it's baked right into that very yellow bun there.
That's a great idea. One, I think the bun looks so eye-catching and good. People want to take a picture of it. But wasn't it offered at baseball stadiums, I want to say, too? I believe that's where it was offered at, which is such a good location for it. People want to try unique, interesting things. You bring it back to the seat. Everybody starts talking about it. It feels like they did a great job.
Yeah, definitely. And this is like this is mayonnaise beer, right?
Yeah.
Mayonnaise flavored beer. No,
so
I'm kidding.
Speaking of condiments, it does look like that. So speaking of condiment kind of mashups here, so it is mayonnaise inspired beer. There's no actual mayonnaise in the beer itself.
Okay, good.
But Duke's Mayo, the cult favorite Southern mayonnaise, partnered up with Champion Brewing Company to create this special brew recipe. It's actually a beer that's specifically designed to be eaten with BLT. So you can see the BLT on the cover there. So there is no mayonnaise in it. They just took that secret Duke's family recipe and used that to inspire the beer itself. So you can buy it at locations throughout Virginia and North Carolina.
Okay.
And then, also another beverage option, we continue to see the number of plant-based milks growing on menus and growing at retail, both in the United States and around the world. So this is a Swedish scientist who came up with this. It is on shelves around the world. This is Doug Original Potato Milk. It is milk made from potatoes. There are 3 options, sweetened, unsweetened, and there's a barista blend specifically designed to be used by baristas. But the scientist who came up with it said that she designed this because potatoes are a lot better. She says that, I'm not, claiming this, but she says the potatoes are better for the environment than oats or almonds. I believe she said that potatoes use far less water than almonds use, and it was twice as efficient as oats when it comes to land use, she says. So, I mean, they definitely did a good job on the packaging there.
Yeah, that looks like it's very interesting.
Yeah. And then another milk option, so kabocha milk. This is out of New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the top growers of kabocha squash in the world. They export most of it to Asian markets, particularly Japan, where kabocha squash is very popular. And so they actually worked with the chef. He's a Japanese chef who came up with avocado milk previously, and avocado milk did very well in Japan. And so these New Zealand farmers worked with this Japanese chef to come up with kabocha milk in order to use their product. So it is on shelves throughout Asia, in Japan, Korea, China. And then actually, if you're in the UK, you can order this milk through Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah. And do you remember this? Do you remember?
Oh my God, I love cream savers. Yes.
So, I feel like a lot of people might have seen this in the news, but cream savers, they have not been on shelves for a decade now, but they're coming back. So the Mars Wrigley got together with another manufacturing company, and these were the two most popular flavors that they sold when they were on shelves. So they're going to bring them back. They're going to sell them at Big Lots locations throughout the country. The chatter online was just unbelievable. The number of people that were so excited to see this candy back. And if you remember from our 2021 trend report, we talked a lot about how nostalgia was motivating new brands to, bring some of these products back, or bring even old restaurant graphic design trends back. And so, 70% of consumers had told us that they were extremely or very likely to purchase a favorite nostalgic food or beverage. So you can see how much nostalgia really is driving purchases. That's a number that increases to 77% for millennial consumers. So I think we're only going to see some of these brands that they grew up with hitting shelves again.
Yes, I have to find out where there's a Big Lots.
Yeah,
I need some cream
Big Lots in the city in Chicago.
Well, oh man. And even though all that was I would say all that was fun stuff already, but we're gonna look into even more fun stuff.
Yes. Oh, the Croffle House. So if you saw this, you probably saw all of the headlines were asking if this is going to be the next cronut. The cronut has been around for years now. We saw all those other mashups. And so this is actually an option that became really popular in South Korea during the pandemic. They were saying that waffle irons were selling out in South Korea because everybody wanted to make croffles, which are croissants that are cooked in a waffle iron so they get crispy like this. The same way that we were making Dalgona coffee and bread at home in the States, they were making croffles in South Korea. So this is a brand that came to New York and opened a couple weeks ago called Croffle House. They specialize in these. They come in a wide variety of toppings. There are savory options, there are sweet options, but they look delicious. They did a really good job with them. They're very Instagrammable. The lines, they said lines have been out the door and they sell out every day.
Oh, that would be good for like a sandwich. Too.
Yeah, and they do. I know they do a number of options that are two of them sandwiched together.
Oh, yeah. And then this, I don't know if you would know, well, if we didn't put the top hat on there, I don't know if you would know what this was inspired by actually, but so you see the M there. This is a Monopoly inspired bar in London. So they actually also had something called I think it was life-size Monopoly that was like 4D Monopoly. And we talked a lot about, I feel like, a few years ago, we saw so many themed restaurants. And now we're kind of seeing that now too with Marvel, I know is coming out with a few in Disney, Star Wars ones. So this one's in London. And one of the cool things is they have like chance cards that you could use for like a dealer's choice cocktail. So I thought that was a fun spin on it.
Shockingly, like it looks so nice. Like it's like you said, you wouldn't even know it was Monopoly themed. It's so fancy looking.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice.
Probably those London consumers, they demand.
And this is just something I saw. This is Latte Lounge from Missouri, and I thought this was really smart. These little split cups. So if sometimes you go to a coffee place, or like you can't decide between two really good sounding drinks, and here you go, you have that split cup, and you can have a little bit of each one. So you can kind of mix and match. I know this place, they do every Friday they have coffee flights that also look delicious. But if you don't want an entire flight of coffee, you can just have these little split cups of the flavors.
It is such a good idea. And I feel like you could do two flavors that work well together too, for like a seasonal LTO offering or something.
Yeah. Or sometimes you want a tea and you want a coffee.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, this looks pretty wild. We were talking about this and whether we would try it. But so this is actually for National Fried Chicken Day. Airheads made in collaboration with this brunchery in Chicago, made this fried chicken sandwich made up with a bun of lattice extreme belts. They're sour belts. So talk about sweet and savory and probably very sour as well. So yeah, this was actually the first time that Airheads did anything outside of the candy kind of realm in their 36-year history. I guess that's still candy, but a little bit different for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like we still continue this. I mean, a lot of this stuff is so weird and unusual, and it's things that are only on the menu for, in this case, what was it, 3 hours or whatever?
3 hours, yep.
But I think so much of it is attention getting. And I mean, over the past year, people were at home. They wanted to see new, unusual stuff. When we did research earlier this year, 74% of consumers said that they just want to see new trends from our industry. So I think there is such a demand for, even if it's on the menu for a short time, for things that just get people's attention, that are fun again,
Yeah, and then it's all over social media for sure.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of weird things all over social media. So this is one of my favorite. We did this last year as well, but the Minnesota State Fair, I believe it just ended this week, I think. So they always have crazy, unusual stuff on the menu. They release all kinds of new offerings every year. And so not only did we look at the Minnesota State Fair, but that prompted us to look at a number of state fairs all across the country to see what they were offering. It's always really unusual, really clever, really creative stuff. I think the interesting thing about the Minnesota State Fair this year is the number of plant-based options that they had added to the menu, and the number of globally inspired options. If you've seen fair food before, they tend to be pretty meaty, and they tend to be pretty comfort food American driven. So you can really see, how those trends are impacting other concepts out there. So the one in the upper left-hand corner, cauliflower is everywhere, one of the top plant-based options on menus. So this is a oven roasted cauliflower floret option that is served with a Calabrian chili sweet pepper sauce. So great plant-based option for snacking around the fair. The one on the right there, the upper right, this is a chori pop. So it's a plant-based chorizo that was developed by the herbivorous butcher. So that's that St. Paul plant-based butcher concept that serves throughout the Twin Cities. So they use their plant-based chorizo in this little chorizo pop option. They serve it with, you can either get it with avocado salsa or a mole sauce, and then they serve it with Mexican barbecue chips. In the lower left-hand corner here, you can see a globally inspired option. These are paneer pakoras. So it's that Indian paneer cheese, but then they fry it up and they serve it with a tomato butter sauce there. And then in the lower right-hand option, this is getting back to that, really meaty stuff. This is a bison ravioli that they serve with, it's a sweet bourbon sauce on the side there. So really unusual offerings from the Minnesota State Fair. But speaking of hot Cheetos, at the Iowa State Fair, so they went in the hot Cheeto direction. This is a red velvet funnel cake. I believe the funnel cake is infused with hot Cheetos as well. So I believe they mix in hot Cheetos into the batter, but then they top it with nacho cheese sauce, and then they crunch up more Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and then there's a couple of pickled jalapenos on the top there.
I've never actually had a Flamin' Hot Cheeto.
Ever in your whole life?
No, I mean, really? I'm not a huge cheese or spicy fan, so I should probably try. I don't think I'm going to dive right into the Mountain Dew one, but I should probably try one for science.
They are surprisingly spicy, I have to say.
Yeah.
If you're not a big spicy fan, but you have to try at least it. Maybe on our next quarterly trends webinar.
I'll try one. I'll try one. Okay.
Okay. At the end, And then also at the Iowa State Fair. So the Iowa State Fair is incredibly proud of the fact that they have so many options served on sticks. They have over 70 different offerings at the fair that are served on a stick. Everything from traditional corn dogs to these are two of the more unusual new offerings offered at the fair this year. So on the left there is the rattlesnake corn dog, actually made with rattlesnake meat. And then on the right there is the elk corn dog. So using some unusual protein options. And then I think the most unusual option offered at the Iowa State Fair this year are, if you've ever had the Icelandic fermented shark, they actually offer it on a stick at the Iowa State Fair.
Oh gosh.
I had it where we did a trip to Iceland. It is incredibly funky. It tastes so much like ammonia. The one bite is more than enough. It wasn't as bad as there's YouTube videos of people, throwing up after they try it. It's not that bad, but it is, I think at these state fairs, there's all these, options that they just really want to be attention getting. Right, and then this is actually one that is not nearly as weird. This is the People's Choice winner at the Iowa State Fair this year. So all the new foods being offered, this is the one that visitors to the fair rated the best. So this is a chicken and egg salad. So it's chicken salad and egg salad mixed together. And then it's offered on a fry bread here. So just a snackable chicken and egg salad option that did really well. And then the State Fair of Texas, I actually feel like the State Fair of Texas played it a little bit safer this year. Usually their stuff is really, really crazy. If you're from Texas, I apologize. But I'm just saying, maybe step it up a little bit in 2022. But they did, they always do, incredible over the top stuff. I feel like the number of sweet options they offered this year had really increased. So on the left-hand side here, you can see this is their brisket brittle. So it's basically like peanut brittle, but they replace the peanuts with brisket. So Texas brisket in there. So kind of a next level version of, I feel like it wouldn't be out of place to see bacon in there. They're just using brisket instead. Yeah. And then the one on the right here is insane. It's literally called deep fried Halloween. It's not even called like a deep fried Halloween bar. It's just called deep fried Halloween. And I'm going to read what exactly is in it because it has so many things. So it's a large chewy pretzel that they drop in the fryer, and then they bathe it in candy corn syrup. They top it with rainbow sprinkles and powdered sugar. Then they pipe on orange and white buttercream icing. Then they stack on their favorite Halloween candies, including marshmallow whipped cream, Reese's peanut butter cups, Hershey's chocolate syrup, caramel sauce, and candy corn on top of it. So definitely a toothache and a bite there, but really over the top option. And I think, again, you just see, all of these fall flavors. It's so funny, you tend to consider a lot of these state fairs to be summer offerings, but we see a lot of these fall flavors being offered at the state fairs because they overlap with pumpkin spice season, which is the end of August now.
Yeah, that's true. Everything's kind of moving up.
And then this one, easily the most Instagrammed, TikTok option offered at state fairs this year. This is at the Wisconsin State Fair, just north of us. So they call it the grilled alligator on a stick, but what they mean by being on a stick is that it's on the bone. And actually you can see the full bone here. So this is the alligator claw that's still attached to it. So it's $20, it's seasoned, it's grilled, and it just looks so gnarly. Everybody takes
oh my gosh. It's like something out of a nightmare. It really is. I don't know if I love chicken feet, I'm a chicken feet girl, but I just don't know if I can, that's just too much for me. That's
you have to give it a try. It does look so prehistoric. There's no a number of reviews said, you always hear it tastes like chicken. It tastes like chicken. Everybody said this does not taste like chicken. It is its own flavor. Yeah.
Tasted like a dinosaur.
Yes, yeah. And then this makes me sad that Jack isn't here because this is always Jack's favorite section, which is a look at some of the new technologies. And if anything, I feel like we could do an entire webinar on new technologies, particularly over the past few weeks, where so many operators are introducing robots because of the labor crunch. Yeah. And so this is an option in Tokyo. So if you've been to Japan, they have a number of robot cafes in Japan, but a lot of them are kind of gimmicky. I feel like they're really more geared towards, tourists coming into Japan. But this is Dawn Robot Cafe in Japan. And so actually it was started by a robotics company that the head of the company was bedridden in a hospital bed for 3 years. And so when he got out of the hospital, he wanted to start a robotics company that was really focused on adaptation and making sure that people had access to everything in society. And so he actually opened this robot cafe in Tokyo in June of this year. And the idea behind it is that every robot in the restaurant, and the entire robot is staffed by restaurants, is actually manned by somebody who has to be at home for any reason, whether that they're at home because of physical disabilities or because they're watching children. They're actually manning these robots at home. So the robots take your order, they deliver things to your table, they'll chat with you, but every single one is manned by somebody at home, which is really interesting, I think.
That is really cool. And especially when you hear about, robots taking over people's jobs. So this is kind of actually supplementing, or it's giving people that maybe normally can't work, that opportunity to do so. So I would love to see kind of signage or explanations behind that, because otherwise I think you would just think, oh, it's a robot.
Yeah, that's
you wouldn't
true.
really necessarily know.
And the entire restaurant is really focused on, serving special needs communities. I know that they said there are charging stations for electric wheelchairs, or if you have a ventilator, there are no staircases in the place. So, you don't have to take a wheelchair up to a next level. So really the entire restaurant is focused on it as well.
That is very cool.
Yeah. And then
this is Basil Street Pizza. So it's a pizza vending machine. They actually call it an automated pizza kitchen. It makes frozen pizzas in, I think it's 3 minutes. And so they're looking to put these into 100 locations by the end of the year. Thinking about hospitals, airports, factories, offices, as people go back in to offices now too. So
we've seen a number of these, but like pizza focused robots or vending machines over the past few years.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they're kind of along the same lines. So this is PepsiCo's SodaStream Professional. So they had introduced this option last year to be put into offices, but now they've introduced this for colleges and universities. So it's basically a larger version of that SodaStream appliance that you may have in your kitchen that makes seltzer water. But in this case, at a college and university, they actually have reusable mugs or bottles that you use. They have a QR code on it. You put it under there and it remembers your preferences. So if you put that QR code bottle under there, it remembers what flavor you like. It remembers the level of fizziness that you like. You can use other bottles as well. And so they're at, I believe they're at 2 colleges and universities and 1 high school right now. And we continue to see the number of CNU operators that are introducing robotics and new vending machines increase, because they're 24/7 and you have that population who may be up really late, be up around the clock on a college campus. It's a population who is very, tech fluent. They're really open to new technologies. They're really comfortable with them. And, we're seeing that labor crunch. So over the past year, it just really makes sense for colleges and universities to have these options that don't have to be manned. So I think we're only going to see more. That's
very cool. Yeah, absolutely.
And then this is, when it comes to agriculture technology, this is easily one of the weirdest things that we came across over the past few months. So researchers in China and the US, they got together and they transferred a human protein into plants. And the protein is called the FTO protein. It's actually often called the obesity protein because it controls, to some extent, obesity in your body. It often gets a bad rap because it causes people to grow bigger, actually. So it's called the obesity protein. And so they had this idea that they would put this protein into plants and see if it would do the same thing. They didn't have high hopes. They thought it would just kill the plants. Instead, it worked beyond their wildest dreams. The plants grew to twice the size, 3 times the size. There was the rice plants grew 3 times the amount of rice that they would normally produce. Potato plants grew absolutely massive. There is a lot of testing that they still have to do. They said they were so surprised that this worked. They, obviously want to make sure that, their findings are true. And, I feel like we're probably going to see a lot in the chat of people talking about whether they like this idea or not, whether we want to see supersized plants around us. But for them, the idea really is to feed, the planet. They, mentioned the fact that 9 million people around the world grow hungry. And so that is the idea behind it.
Everyone thinks this one's fake.
Is, oh,
That,
really? Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And when you think about the real implications, it makes a lot of sense, but it does kind of seem very scary if you can
Scary,
see
yeah.
like a, sunflower sized, peas and things like that. So,
All right, if you insert it into Venus flytraps and we have those growing around, I feel like
oh
it's
gosh,
going to be
we already
terrifying.
have killer wasps. I think we're okay on some of these things.
And then this is another really out there wild and wacky thing. So this is Sony's
Hmm.
health monitoring TV. It is a prototype. It's just something, they haven't even actually created a TV yet. It's just a patent. The idea behind it is that there are sensors and cameras in the TV, and they are watching what you're eating. They're watching your health vitals to see if you are eating too much while you're watching a show, to see if your heart rate is exploding. And so they
Oh,
can
wow.
actually monitor your health while you're watching TV,
Hmm.
and make health recommendations for you. So it's basically the same thing as, an Apple Watch might do, the same way that your, Apple Watch monitors
Hmm.
your health vitals, the Sony, health monitoring TV would do the same thing.
Wow.
And then this is, I feel like a number of people might have seen this in the news in the past week. So Schnucks, the St. Louis-based grocery store chain, they started this test last year, and then it's done so well for them. They've actually expanded it to all of the locations that they have. I believe there are 111 locations in the chain. So they've introduced these scanning robots to all of the stores that they have throughout the St. Louis area. And so they are inventory scanning robots. They scan the aisles to make sure that, everything, they inventory constantly. I believe the statistics were it could make sure it was 14 times better than a live person at making sure that the shelves were fully stocked. So I think the interesting thing about it too is that it does roam the aisles with consumers. So consumers, you can see in this picture, are walking through the store. There's a viral Facebook video of a little girl who's walking through an aisle, and there's one of these robots, and she absolutely loves it. She keeps asking her mom, like, "Don't you think this robot's adorable?" So if you
Oh,
have a chance, I would say, look up this video.
that's cute.
And then we'll look at some social media. This is my favorite section. This is how, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
this is just continues, I feel like some of the weird and wacky trends. And
Hmm.
so speaking of consumers coming into contact with robots constantly, I just want to play this video from TikTok.
Yo, my man's is stuck. You good? Yeah, I got you, homie. I got you. Go, be free. Be free. Go. Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, it thanks him. Oh, that's very cute.
And if you're on TikTok, so the number of college students who went back in the past few weeks and have come across these robots roaming around campus has only increased because these robotics have really been launched at campuses across the country. There's so many videos of, students walking down the street next to a robot, getting their order from a robot. There's actually one viral video of a car hitting one of these robots because it actually has the right of way in the cross street, but the car actually sideswipes it. So between that Schnucks robot and these robots, the number of robots that consumers are interacting with on a daily basis only continues to increase.
Oof.
And then I don't know, they're always eating weird stuff on TikTok. There's always a new thing. So this was a trend over the summer, which is eating either grilled or roasted sunflowers whole. So if you harvest a sunflower head when it's pretty young, the seeds are pretty tender actually. So they're not crunchy like you would get them at the store. And so you just put some oil on there, you put some seasonings on there, you can grill it on the grill, and then you can actually eat that whole head, all of the seeds off of it like this.
Wow.
So I don't know if anybody's a manufacturer watching today. I feel like you should use that for inspiration and make an unusual new sunflower option.
Have that whole sunflower on your plate there. Yeah. This is kind of along the same line. So this is, it sounds like an oxymoron, but these are corn ribs. So I think that actually the hardest part of it that I've heard is cutting. So you cut the corn vertically into little strips like that, which I think can be pretty hard to do without cutting off a finger or two. But to these, I mean, this is like super genius, I think. So, you know, and then they're seasoning it up with some rib spices and seasonings, air frying it or putting it in the oven. And then I think that one in the middle too is kind of like an elote seasoning. So kind of taking that plant-based trend to the next level and mimicking ribs.
We've seen this I've seen a number of independent operators offer it. I think it's only a matter of time before we see it hit a major chain appetizer menu.
Yeah,
in the same way
true.
like buffalo cauliflower has.
Absolutely.
It does, it looks appetizing.
Yeah, they're very cute. And this is another trend, social media trend, ice cream bread. So I guess it's just melted ice cream with self-rising flour. And this is Pop Sugar's version of it. This is a recipe that I think I would make. I don't like to bake, but I could mix two things together and put it in the oven, I suppose. This is their Neapolitan ice cream bread. So
wow, that's clever. I have heard that it's pretty dense. I've heard that the texture is fairly dense.
Interesting.
And then this is another plant-based option. So you've probably seen, you know, carrots turned into bacon or mushrooms turned into bacon, but this was growing on Instagram and TikTok. This is banana peel bacon. So using banana peels to recreate bacon. So putting a little bit of liquid smoke on there and a little bit of smoked paprika, and then either pan frying it or roasting it in the oven, and you get that kind of bacon facsimile. It does look remarkably like bacon, I have to say.
It does, yeah. Oh, this was everywhere too. I guess there were like 1 billion views on TikTok of frozen honey. So, you know, it's basically what it sounds like, people putting honey into little water bottles and freezing it. And you can see that woman there on the right is just chewing it off. And supposedly it's a lot sweeter and more kind of, what is that word I'm thinking about? I don't know. But it also does look, yeah, I think so. I mean, it kind of looks like,
I mean, obviously it's more frozen, but like,
yeah,
I mean, is it like a candy or like a frozen treat texture?
I think that's what people are doing. Yeah, especially with the heat now. But then there's also a lot of warnings about about fracturing your teeth and things like that. So everything comes with a little bit of a warning there.
Clearly there is a desire for frozen honey-based treats. So maybe that's the lesson for people watching, that there's a real desire from consumers for a frozen honey-based option.
Yeah.
And then another one, if you're on TikTok, you saw this everywhere. So Applebee's, so there's a country music artist called Walker Hayes, and he has a song called Fancy Like, and part of the lyrics of the song are fancy like Applebee's, and then he mentions the Oreo cookie shake. And so Applebee's, of course, saw everybody on TikTok using this song. There were, you know, servers at Applebee's across the country that were dancing to the song and putting it on TikTok. And so, you know, all of these brands are paying attention to when their brands are going viral like this. And so Applebee's brought back the Oreo shake specifically because of that. And they were actually doing a fancy like date night promotion. So just shows how important it is to, you know, stay on top of some of those organic social media trends that are happening out there. This is another great example of this. I'm just going to play this video really quick here.
Hey, come check this out. Come here. Who could that be from? I wonder. Look at the bottom of this box.
That looks like some of the golden arches.
Does it?
Well,
who has golden arches?
McDonald's.
Hey!
All right.
Ooh.
Oh, your friends at McDonald's. GB and Matt, you two go together like chicken nuggets and Dr. Pepper's grandma grandson goals. Ooh. Dr. Pepper and chicken nuggets. And it has my name and they spelled it right.
Aww.
What do you think? We got matching sweatshirts.
Aww.
Man, I didn't deserve all this.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
McDonald's loves you.
And I love them.
Huh?
Whoa!
Whoa! Thanks, McDonald's.
Aww.
Hey, come check this out.
So it's a TikTok channel that's a grandson and his grandmother, and they actually live together. They go to McDonald's all the time. She loves Dr. Pepper, and so Dr. Pepper actually sent her a bunch of swag. They sent her Dr. Pepper. They sent her a Dr. Pepper candle, and then you can see their McDonald's sent her a bunch of stuff too. I mean, it just goes to show, you know, those natural social media moments that brands are really jumping on when it comes to Instagram. And then this next section, the last section here, is looking at some of the ghost kitchen news and new ghost kitchens. Like technology, I feel like this is something that we could do an entire webinar about. Every week there's new ghost kitchen brands coming out. So people might have seen this one. This is the NASCAR refuel delivery only concept. So this is the same people that did the Mr. Beast pop-up, which is doing phenomenally well. They continue to increase locations across the country. So NASCAR worked together with them to introduce the NASCAR refuel delivery only brand across the country. And so they only offer things on the menu that previously you could only get at NASCAR race courses across the country. So this one right here is a hot dog and pimento sandwich that actually is typically only available at Talladega, but now you can get it at the NASCAR refuel ghost kitchen concept.
That's so smart too, to kind of get those things that you're, craving and missing from stadiums and sporting events.
And I think we're only going to see it more just because it extends that brand relationship with the consumer. I mean, in this case, those foods are going into the consumer's homes and they're enjoying them. So, and then so Jollibee, this is, they worked with DoorDash to introduce this mobile kitchen. They say it's a step up from a traditional ghost kitchen. They worked together to create this. It's a massive trailer here. It's going to be parked in a city in Canada for 6 months. This is a particular location that they chose because of the market. There's a college nearby. There's a number of larger cities nearby. And so they're going to be parked there for 6 months. DoorDash, you can either order it for delivery or you can go to the parking lot itself and pick it up there. And then after 6 months, they're going to move to a new location in North America. And then this is a ghost kitchen. We continue to see a number of ghost kitchens being offered at what we call on-site operators. So this is Tara at Food Management Magazine actually wrote a story about this. And so this is 1301 Hen House. So this is a ghost kitchen offering at the University of Mary Washington, I believe. And so they saw that, chicken sandwich, chicken tender trend, really growing in the industry. They knew that they had to have one on campus. So they introduced it as a ghost kitchen. It's available both on and off campus. They developed a chickpea breading so that the all the chicken that they offer is gluten-free. And they said, if we start to see another trend start to happen that our consumer base really wants, CNU students, then they'll just rebrand in a couple of weeks and start up a new ghost kitchen. And if you're interested in ghost kitchens, we just released this in Report Pro. This is our issue of Creative Concepts on ghost kitchens. We actually have an article in there about a lot of these on-site offerings at hospitals and colleges and universities. Actually, that cover there is an operator that is offering oysters as a ghost kitchen, which I feel like is something that you never would have thought of previously as a ghost kitchen offering.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so that's this webinar. We actually have 5 minutes left,
Oh
which is
my
crazy.
gosh.
We're gonna in a second we'll unveil that fake trend too. But our next webinar in 2 weeks, we're gonna dive back into some COVID stats. I know it's with the variants and everything, and we're gonna have some data on consumer thoughts on mandates, masks, vaccination records like this as well.
We've done quite a bit of research over the past few, a lot of research on COVID, how it's impacting operators, manufacturers, consumers. And so I feel like we always say that, our webinars can't miss, offering, but I would say the 1 in 2 weeks, if you do want to know what's happening, if you do want to know how the, variants are impacting consumers, that you really should join in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And then let's take you can only choose one. What is your final answer, everyone, about which one is the fake trend? Patrick Carroll's the fake trend. I love it.
And I can see the chat. So what are people saying?
You can? Okay.
No,
There's we're getting a lot of baking soda, we're getting ramen, alligator. I figured that. I'm surprised that the Sony one isn't coming up.
That's the one I thought most people would choose.
Yeah. And I thought the gator leg, I figured that would be that.
And we can say which one Jack thought was going to be the fake one. We asked him before the fact.
Which one he said the ramen, right?
Yeah.
Or the gator leg?
Those were his 2 top options. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting some corn dogs, spam.
And both incorrect. Okay. Both were incorrect.
Yes, both of those were incorrect.
Have we gotten any correct answers so far?
Yes.
We have?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, there is. We've got some Twix, hot Cheetos. All right, last guesses, everyone. We should have probably, I don't know how to do a poll on here, but we probably should have done one just to see if everybody, but okay, so this time I planted the fake trend and I don't think it was that great. Mike got it like on the first try, but probably because I hinted that it was going to be pumpkin spice. The pumpkin spice baking soda was the fake trend. Shout out to Jacqueline on our team for helping me doctor that image and putting in pumpkin spice on that product. But that was their actual packaging, and we just changed the wording to pumpkin spice. So yeah.
I mean, at this point, like you said, there's pumpkin spice motor oil. Who's not going to believe that there's a pumpkin spice variety of everything?
Right. I thought that gator, the gator leg would have been very impressive if you found a picture about that.
I thought the plant one. I thought the putting the fat protein into the plant.
Yeah, that would have been an easy one too, because it was just kind of the text on there.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well,
and if you haven't, sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
I was just gonna say we're gonna do another one of these trend episodes also in another quarter, and we'll put another fake one in there. So get ready again for that.
Nice. Yeah, and if you haven't typed your name yet, let's get rid of that Patrick Carroll virus. Still seeing a lot of them on there. So type your full name on there, and then stay tuned. Again, in 2 weeks, every other Thursday, we'll have that COVID update for you guys.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, drop us a line, hello@datassential.com. Anything we talked about today, anything in additional, if you're interested in Report Pro, we always have the team here that can answer any questions that you have. And if you just want to stay on for a couple of minutes, again, we just want to thank everybody for joining us again, and we will see you in 2 weeks.